36, just turned 36 this summer. My portfolio size is, as of Monday, 3,314 units, 300 or 450 million worth of real estate. And then equity wise, I own 100%. So then I do have another portfolio that's about 88 units, and on top of the 3,300, and that is with the president of my property management company. We own that 50-50, but the majority of my units, I've retained all the equity for.
Man, that's so impressive. And I say this in jest, but man, this had to be given to you, right? You had to have a silver spoon, right? You can't just create that as a 36-year-old.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I know we're talking a little bit about my book, but I know that's what I get a lot of at this point in my career. Is like, how do I do it too? And that's impossible. And you must have had a lot of money. And yeah, my parents made a combined $40,000 a year growing up. And, I came from nothing. I say I came from nothing from a money standpoint, but I did come from everything from the sense of just like an incredible family that taught me what hard work and character and integrity, and that life should be about relationships and not transactions. And I think that's much more valuable than any sort of money. But the short story is I graduated from college with negative $44,000 of debt. And so we had not only, our net worth was negative. So, and that wasn't that long ago, 11, 12 years ago. So we didn't have any money. And I just think there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate, and I'm not against any of them. For me, eventually, for my story is I knew that if I wanted to quit my W-2 job, I didn't ever want to work for people in the future. And I felt that finding the money and reporting to investors and telling them what I do is almost like continuing to work for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I just wondered if I put the same amount of time into running my properties better, creating value, creating cash flow and retained all the equity, that I could scale too. It's just a slower process in the beginning. Nobody sees the first 3 years where I bought 7 units, right? Yeah. They see last year where I bought 1,200. But I would tell you how many investors took 3 years to buy just 7 units. So it takes a while to be able to scale the way that I did.
Yeah. And so let's talk about, did you always have that mindset when it came to money and real estate and wanted to do it on your own? And you mentioned a W-2 job. So how did you get this to work? Like for some people, this is like, how did he do this?
Yeah. So back up a little bit. Did I always have this mindset? I would tell you I had a scarcity mindset, but like when my parents would give me the limited amount of money that they did, or I would work, even in high school, balancing a couple of jobs. In college, I double majored, played college basketball and worked 2 jobs. Wow. All this time I'm just saving. Right. Because that's what I was taught. So my mindset in the beginning was, at least I was lucky enough to know that you had to save money, not just spend it. And I was an awesome saver. You could say I was a disciple of Dave Ramsey in the beginning. And then eventually I read enough books to graduate and realize that to create real wealth, you can't save your way there. Right. You got to invest it and you got to have control. And, I think the only thing I have against Dave is he teaches fear instead of understanding with things. For example, like debt. I think there's nothing to be feared when it comes to financials. It's actually some of the things that I really dislike about our education system and some of the people that teach financials or wealth building. It's like really scary, and they use big words, and financial advisors want to continue to let them do all the work for you. But, if you work really hard for your money, you should expect your money to work hard for you. And you have to understand how money works. And understanding is not something to be feared. And I think there's just too many people in society in general that teach fear. So once I started educating myself and reading, because I didn't have any family or friends in real estate or with significant amounts of wealth. So I'm self-taught. I'm still to this day haven't paid $1 for any coaching programs or went to any big seminar. I just read a lot, and then I took action and applied, and I made mistakes and gained experience and just continued to move that way. And I got into real estate in 2013. So I eventually started making a little bit more money. And I realized that I just had no idea how to build wealth. I was putting all my money into things like Roth IRAs or traditional IRAs, my 401k. And I just felt like I couldn't predict how much money I was making, and I didn't have the control. And then as I started reading and understanding where I was putting my money, I started realizing that the tools that I was using to build wealth didn't even line up to what I wanted in life. I didn't want to work until I was 60 years old in retail, for example. But if I continued to put all my money to a 401k, I couldn't even draw from it until I was 59 and a half, which is crazy to me, right? I mean, it's common sense, but for me, it wasn't. And I thought it was nuts that somebody had my money and would penalize me if I wanted to take it back. So you asked about my W-2 job. I mean, I started as an intern at Target Corporation, and not making a lot of money. And I think $35,000 a year is where I started. And I did what my parents taught me to do. And that was, you work really, really hard at anything you do. And, it doesn't matter what it was, filling shelves, pushing the truck, cashiering, going to get carts, but nobody should do it better than you, or at the very least, you should do it to your fullest potential. And I just worked really, really hard and long hours at that. And then they taught me to learn. So I'd be the guy asking all the dumb questions, as many things as I can, and making mistakes. And they taught me to be curious. So there's a lot of opportunities in retail to take more responsibility if you're willing to. And I would always take them, even if I didn't know what I was doing. And that led me to be able to promote a lot. I promoted to an assistant manager rather quickly, then a store manager, then a district manager. Got an opportunity to oversee a really large group in 5 states with 19,000 people. Got an opportunity to work on operations across the United States to change the way stores run for a period of time. And and along with those years of working for a Fortune 50 company, I learned things that were really valuable to me, like leadership. And I don't think we talk about that enough in real estate. That if you really want to scale and you really want to grow, you have to understand people, and you have to understand how to put good people around them, hire great people, fire people. Most of all, develop and train and build systems for these people. And I learned a lot of that at a very young age, and I feel very fortunate for that. I also learned about should never do something one time. If you do it one time, you should think about a repeatable process to be able to put into place. So anyway, I started making a lot of money, really high 6 digits, and I liked my job. I loved the responsibility. But as I started realizing that there's a responsibility that I'm working very hard for this money, and I'm making sacrifices with my family, and I'm working nights and weekends, and I'm working every single day to continue to achieve at my Fortune 50 company, and I'm trading my time for that eventually I need to build up my money and my wealth so that my wealth starts giving me time back. And that was real estate, built up to about 250, 260 units. And that was crazy, because after tax, that was making as much in like 10 hours a month at a third-party management company than my W-2 job was. So I started to realize too, like real wealth, it wasn't started at 34,000, but I think with bonuses and stuff like that, my last role was paying me almost $500,000. That is income, but you can't build real wealth because it's taxed through income. You build it through the assets that you earn, right? So like if I have like $450 million worth of real estate and inflation is 10%, my entire portfolio grows, right? You can do the math on 450 million. That is not taxed. Yeah. So I started to realize that, like, by accumulating assets, by accumulating cash flow, by putting my money into investments that are more tax efficient, there's no amount of income, even if I was the CEO of Target, that they could pay me. Like right now, there's no way. I'd make more than the CEO of Target. Like it doesn't. Income is very, for me, was something I focused solely on in the beginning, until I realized that you need to turn income into assets so that assets give you back the time. Right. And that's what I did. Is I left in 2019, built the property management company, the construction company, and it really helped me scale my portfolio to where it is today.